I don't mind people communicating, telling me that they're angry if they're also going to communicate what's underneath it. But if they're just going to come and attack me with all this heat and no light, I'm just going to go, no, back off. Come back when you're ready to share and be vulnerable about what's underneath that.
100%. And all of us with our own egos and defenses and shadowy bits. So the father who is walking down the aisle in the shopping center with his son, and the son is very unhappy about not getting what he wanted, is now on the floor kicking and screaming. What happens to the father, right? The father goes, oh my God, this is embarrassing. So his social anxiety is rising. His sense of frustration is rising because he's late. He has many more things to do today. And it is then because we have been showed the same thing, right? Those punitive measures you talked about, where we try a bit, listen, you can't get it, blah, blah, blah. And when the boy obviously is just going to continue to escalate because his problem is not resolved,
Right.
We go, if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something real to cry about. So we teach people that these type of unpleasant feelings are a source of shame and guilt and often result in punishment, which is sad because then comes mom. And mom goes, I'm going to give you a new toy, right? Or a chocolate. And so we wave a toy in front of that boy just to distract them from the way they feel. And I think this is a seed that is planted that breeds addictions, because well-being is always outside of myself, and feelings are always a bad curse that ends up in punishment. And so how do I grow up to be a regulated adult when my wife is not happy with me and when the bank is not giving me a loan? Oh, of course, I'm going to look for something outside of myself to help regulate myself.
That's a great explanation. I've never heard it put that way. Because it's funny that when, if I'm, if people are upset or me and you refer to, I'm just going to have a beer as a treat.
Yes.
As though alcohol's a treat. Or I'll just have a line of cocaine and I'm going to treat myself because I'm not feeling good. And we see these things as treats, even though they're not really. But maybe as a child, when we were given, like you say, a chocolate or a toy to distract us from the unpleasant feeling that we're experiencing, we learn to externalize rather than just sit with and process and move through that negative, or not even, you don't even like the word negative or positive emotion, but just move through that emotion rather than think that we need something outside of ourselves to regulate that. You're implying that we need to learn to regulate that internally.
Yeah, normalize, express, validate, and help the child regulate. If you as a parent struggle to sit with an anxious child or an angry child who usually comes together, or a sad child, then you should go and do some work around this as to be able to hold that child in moments of real grief. I mean, if the teacher was not nice to them or if they lost a boyfriend, girlfriend, then these are real moments of grief and loss. I'm not suggesting we should make a big deal about every little thing, but if you start early and you start with the ice cream rather than the boyfriend who left or the girlfriend who left, then you're much more likely to have a regulated adult who can face these kind of things without reaching for drugs and alcohol.